Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we'll be talking about why the Jets need a deep threat in their offense and who could be a fit in the NFL draft. But before we get started, just wanted to mention you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY, and if you haven't already, please make sure to check out the podcast or link to the merch like this Just Jets podcast t-shirt down below in the description. So I like the receiving core as is for the New York Jets. They have four guys that I feel pretty confident in Davis, Mims, Crowder, and Cole, who they just picked up from the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I think it would be wise for them to continue to add because I don't know if Jamison Crowder is going to be re-signed after this year. And they could diversify this wide receiving group. And let me show you what I mean by diversifying it. So when you look at the top, Mims and Davis are your starting outside receivers. And they are very similar, which is fine. They both have a unique skill set, which is being a bigger body receiver with some speed and good at contested catches and yards after the catch. So they are similar, and you could get a lot out of both those guys, but you need someone who's a speedster who could take a top off a defense. Jamison Crowder is really not that. He's a slot receiver who could do stuff underneath and is very, very good at it, but I don't think he is your prototypical deep threat. So they need to add one. So I'll give you some options in the NFL draft. If you're looking for one in round two, and the Jets pick early in round two, there's a couple of guys who stand out. Elijah Moore from Ole Miss is the first one that I'll talk about. He's 5'9", 185 pounds, and a very good, maybe the best slot prospect in this draft. He has very impressive speed, and he's maybe even more so than the speed, the route running. So he's able to stop on a dime and come back with speed. And just again, take a top off of defense, that kind of a speed as well. He's someone who's probably going in round two. So at pick 34, do I think the Jets are going to go receiver? I don't know about that, but his talent is definitely worthy of a top 40 pick in this year's draft. And there's a lot of really good receivers in this year's draft. And if you're looking for the best kind of a player to take over for a Jamison Crowder in the slot long-term, then Elijah Moore fits that mold in the slot. It would make a ton of sense in this offense. Speaking of Moore, there's another Moore that I want to talk about, and that's Rondell Moore from Purdue. Now, he is on the smaller side, which might not translate to the next level at 5'7", 181. He's someone who I think could go in round two or round three, but he would be phenomenal on jet sweeps. He's built for option kinds of routes, and he plays like a running back when the ball is in his hands, which the Jets don't really have a receiver like that. Sure, Crowder could do some things after the catch, and Mims and Davis up top are similar in the sense that they are, again, like bigger body, contested catch kind of guy. They could use someone who would be like a Deebo Samuel in that offense that we saw in San Francisco, and similar offense coming over here to the New York Jets. Rondell Moore, while maybe undersized, would be a lot of fun in that kind of a role, which is a role they really don't have. And if you want to have, a more all-around offense, it would be good to have a player like that. The next guy I want to talk about is Dwayne Escridge from Western Michigan. He's 5'9", 190, and he's a speedster. Has some really good speed, good route running, and a good blocker too, which I think is something that is maybe slept on for wide receivers, and it's something that Joe Douglas seems to value with wide receivers. On top of that, he can be a good returner too. He's someone who I think goes in round three. So if you want to use 66 or 86 on a receiver, someone like Escridge from Western Michigan would be a really intriguing option for the New York Jets because one, like I said, a good route runner, good blocker, speedster, can be a returner too. So a very versatile piece that would be an addition to this Jets team. Next up, Demetric Felton from UCLA. He's 5'8", $189, and he played both running back and wide receiver, but he went to his pro day as a wide receiver, but he's a jet sweep screen guy, which is something the Jets don't have, which is why we're talking about these guys. Some comparisons, if used properly, it could be like a Percy Harvin or a Cordero Patterson, like I said, in a perfect offense, which I have a lot of faith in Mike LaFleur coming over from a really good system in San Francisco and learned under really good coaching staff. I think Felton is someone who can go in round 4, round 5, and that would be some pretty good value getting a gadget kind of a guy in that round. The last guy I would like to talk about is Jalen Darden from North Texas, 5'7", 172, so much smaller, but he is a receiver and a return specialist who is extremely explosive. He has really good separation, and I think he's someone who would go in round 4 and round 6. And like some of these other guys, you could do a lot of creative things with him that you wouldn't be able to do with Keelan Cole, or that you wouldn't be able to do with Mims or Crowder or who you just brought in, Davis, which again, I really like that top 4. I just want to add to it and continue to give weapons to Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, most likely Zach Wilson. And I think adding a wide receiver in the mid rounds is the best option. So I have my eye on Escridge or Darden. I think either of those 2 guys would be a perfect fit in this offense in the mid round. I'm also a big fan of a guy like Nico Collins, but he's kind of similar to Denzel Mims in the sense that he's a contested catch guy, but he is a deep threat, or was used as a deep threat at Michigan. But if you're looking for someone with a little bit of speed, maybe a Darden would be exciting, or even Felton. Like, I know he was maybe a little bit more of a running back in college, but it could be an intriguing option in, a more creative offense. Would Gase be able to get anything out of these guys? Probably not. But would Mike LaFleur and this offense maybe be able to get a little bit more out of them? Yeah, I would say probably. I would think they'd be able to get some special packages in there. And again, this is kind of just to keep like the Braxton Berrioses, Jeff Smith, Vincent Smiths, all those guys further down the chart, because let's be honest, they are not starting or having any kind of playing time on a top 15 team, a top 20 team in the league. If you're not a bottom 3 team in the league, then those guys aren't playing for your team. It's just as simple as that, whether you want to admit it or not. So if you want to look at some more prospects, definitely keep it locked on the channel as the NFL draft is coming up, and I'll be talking about even more needs and so on and so forth. So let me know what you think of these players down in the comments. Who would you like to see as a deep threat on the New York Jets? Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. If you like the video, give a applause, and I'll talk to you next time.